Hi, I'm Cassandra Fontanez, and I'll be reading an excerpt from my short story entitled Igloo. Jude shifted her weight, but no amount of adjusting could make the hard, gray airport seats comfortable. She has always been the type of flyer to get to her gate long before boarding, despite her aversion to taking this flight. Her eyes wandered from person to face, imagining where these thousands of people were traveling to from O'Hare, and why. A man with his dark hair combed flat in a gray suit, handsome but with purplish bags under his eyes, carrying a large black briefcase in his left hand, the right one holding his phone up to his ear. Then a little girl no more than 4 years old with thick brunette curls, clutching her mother's hand, running to keep pace with her rushing parents. All of these people were heading somewhere they wanted to be, somewhere they were needed. A business trip to close a deal with a client, or visiting family members who would welcome them with open arms and wide grins. Jude was still trying to figure out exactly why she was leaving. Why was she traveling back to the place she ran so fervently from? The place where 21 years ago, an 18-year-old Jude bounced her leg over and over, anxious to board her flight that would take her away to Ohio State University, leaving the fragmented remains of her once hopeful, wide-eyed innocence in Pittsburgh behind her. All of her belongings had fit into two cheap suitcases she had bought off of eBay, all new clothes with the tag still on them, and shoes whose soles were pure white and had never touched the ground. Jude didn't want to bring anything from that house, anything her parents had bought her. They were too heavy, weighted down by the poisonous memories that she refused to carry. She had promised her younger siblings that she would call them when she arrived and check in every so often. But Levi had a knowing look on his face that saw the girl who couldn't run away to a new life fast enough. Her brother knew they would never hear from her again, that the last memory they had of her would be colored with lies. She's sure he resents her for that. Her suitcase came too quickly around the carousel. She still hadn't figured out what she would say to him. She lifted the heavy bag with effort and walked to the exit to meet her brother at his car. Jude thought she would have a couple of minutes, some sort of time after she texted him that she was outside before she saw him. But as she walked into the December Pennsylvania air, Levi was sitting in his black Ford Fusion, a few feet to her right with his hazards on. He made no moves to get out of the car, just popped his trunk and waited, his eyes straight ahead. She lifted her bag into the empty trunk and walked around to the passenger side door, opening it and sliding onto the cold leather seat. He spoke first. How was your flight? Fine. It was pretty smooth, not too long. Good. How are you? Nothing to complain about. Levi talked with his sister formally, like a coworker who you'd see in passing on your way to your desk. The rest of the 40-minute drive was silent, save for the Christmas music playing softly on the radio. Jude couldn't read the tension, if it was burning anger, seething hatred, or simply awkwardness. In any case, what was there to say between siblings who were both so intertwined, yet somehow so separated by their trauma? Jude and Levi were the eldest of 5 children in the Nelson family. Levi was only 2 years younger than Jude. This meant that when piggyback rides and family picnics at the small park on the corner turned to piles of empty pill bottles and litters of forbidden tinfoil in every room of the house, the two of them had served as surrogate parents to the 3 younger children. 10-year-old Jude would cook the frozen waffles and canned spaghetti meals that she and 8-year-old Levi would walk to the nearest corner store and buy with the money they took from their parents' wallets. They had both learned how to forge their mother's signature for field trips and report cards. When Ryan had failed a few spelling tests in a row, Jude and Levi worked together to write a convincing email detailing their mom's inability to make the meeting with his teacher, while Mrs. Nelson stared blankly at the ceiling of her bedroom, high out of her mind. They were 12 and 10, respectively. She supposed that in some cases, working through such difficult times would bring two people closer, but for them, the other was a reminder of the childhood they were forced to abandon. They didn't speak to each other. The house was once a brighter shade of white. Its siding would match the snow-covered ground on a day like today, and Jude would imagine that her house was an igloo, her own creation in the pure white world. Now the snow just emphasized the dingy, aged exterior of her childhood home, and she wondered how she ever saw this place as anything beautiful. Thank you.